Insurance agents from around the world, welcome to the Insurance Guys podcast. My name is Scott Howell, your fearless host and leader, insurance agency owner and insurance evangelist for I Protect Insurance and Financial Services, based out of Huntsville, Alabama. And before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome. He is a 6'3" sophomore from Mobile, Alabama, parade first team All-American, Rivals 5-star recruit. He is a fantastic insurance agent and a great American. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and welcome the incomparable Mr. Bradley Flowers. How are you, Bradley?
Somewhere in the state of Texas, Aaron Robertson just stood up and saluted.
Sure did. Aaron Robertson, I hope you're doing well, brother. Been a minute. Need to come see me. Bradley, I got a question for you this morning.
Sure.
Thought about this all the way down to Mobile yesterday afternoon. Driving from Huntsville to Mobile, I got to ask this question. It's a question that's been on my heart for a long time, at least for the last couple of months, because
my cholesterol is still high.
You know, we go 2.5 months without seeing each other and really even talking to each other very much.
Yeah, we didn't talk much this last time.
No, we did not. We missed each other a few times, and I don't know, one thing after another, life just lifing. But I got to ask, how's the Airbnb going?
It's going well, you know, and it's an insurance relevant question because, you know, we did an episode with Mike Carey a few months ago where we talked about diversifying outside of insurance, and that's the reason we bought it. We crushed it in July. If we could have 3 Julys every year, it would make money. And thankfully, you know, May, June, July, and September, kind of the 4 big. And April too, because of spring break. Those are kind of the 4 big Airbnb vacation rental months down there at the beach. Crushed it in July. The only issue we had 2 issues. So my goal, and if anybody's out there that's got Airbnbs wants to give me tips, it's fine because I'm learning as I go. So the house right next door to ours is the exact same house. And he used the exact same interior decorator that we used. I mean, they're identical. I copied his listing exactly. So the only difference between me and him is he's a super host and I'm not. Okay, and which is a designation by Airbnb.
Oh, that's the only ones I stay at are super hosts.
Yeah. And so he's always got somebody there. He's got people. I mean, you go there on a Tuesday, Wednesday.
But how do you become? How could you become a super host?
So to be a super host, you have to in a quarter. You have to have 10 bookings and at least a 4.8 rating.
Gotcha.
So my goal for this year, because like the thing is, we didn't list it until July. Well, people who go to the beach in July typically book it in February, March. So we're only getting like the last. So despite all that, we still crushed it in July, but he's still got people there now. And it's because of the superhost thing. So my goal has been to get the superhost status this year and then crush it next year. That's been my goal, right? So I'm over reviewing. So when a guest moves out, when you leave the review, it notifies them that you left a review. It won't let them see it until they leave theirs and vice versa. So what I'm doing is I'm leaving people 5-star reviews that may or may not deserve it to try and instigate them and incentivize them to leave me a 5-star review, right? So we had this one guest. It was the 3rd guest we had, and we have a bunk bed. We have 2 bunk beds, but one of the bunk beds has a ladder that looks like it's just hanging there, but it's actually attached. They broke that off. They went to try and move it, broke that off. Didn't tell us about it. They knocked a hole in the wall. There was food all over the walls. The microwave looked like somebody took a bag of McDonald's French fries, grabbed the bottom of it, turned it upside down, and shook it. It was full of, there was trash everywhere. But, you know, I can fix that stuff. Holes in the walls are going to happen. I mean, it was a little hole, but holes in the wall are going to happen. Stuff, you know, furniture's going to break. I can fix all that, right? So, and that's about my ceiling for handy stuff, but I can fix all that. So I said, I'm still going to leave her a 5-star. Hopefully she'll leave me a 4-star despite all the issues. So I did that. She leaves me a 4-star because we did not have a broom. And I'm like, man, I wish you would have known. I would have known that that was that important to you, I would have door dashed you a freaking broom. Anyway, the other thing they broke is they broke the dryer.
How'd they break the dryer?
I think they put shoes in it or too much, too many clothes in it.
It's hard to break a dryer.
Brand new dryer.
Hard to break a dryer.
Brand new dryer. So we, it's under, and there's an insurance, there's a business lesson in here for you guys. And the lesson is, I'll go ahead and give you the lesson is communication. So it's under warranty with GE. So we reach out to GE, and we did not buy the dryer. The builder bought the dryer and installed it, and it's a stackable. It's one on top of the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I reach out to GE, and I immediately get a call from a local company that's GE's warranty service, right? So they're going to fix it. So lady calls me. She's like, hey, yeah, this situation, whatever. They can be out there on this day. I said, perfect. Here's the code. I created like a custom code for them. She says, well, they'll call you when they get there. It's like, no need to call me when he gets there. Here's the code, whatever. So he's there. He's there 2 hours. Never heard back from him. This place also, they only work until 2:30. So unfortunately, every day that I thought about calling them to check on it, it was like 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Right.
And they wouldn't answer, which is like the dumbest thing ever. So didn't think anything of it. A week goes by. We go back to stay at the beach. Dryer still doesn't work. And there's 4 packages on the front porch of parts that they have shipped to me. And I'm like, man, it would have been great if they would have called me and said, hey, he wasn't able to fix it, but we ordered the parts, whatever. So fast forward another week. I call them and I was like, hey, are you guys going to send? Yeah, he's coming out there tomorrow. And the lady says, is the unit accessible? And I said, well, what do you mean by the unit being accessible? And she said, sir, I have no idea what that means. That's just what the tech put on here. And I said,
it's whether you can get in or not.
I said, sure. Like, yeah, if you're not going to tell me what it means and I don't know what it means, and that me saying no to this is going to prevent them from coming. Right. Yeah, sure, it's accessible. Same code as before. He comes by. He's there. I see on my cameras. He's there for 45 minutes. I was like, well, maybe he fixed it in 45 minutes.
He was in your refrigerator. Probably. And went and watched ESPN and ate a sandwich, and then he left.
That's exactly what he did, because he didn't fix anything. So I call him back the next day. This is last Thursday, and I was like, hey, just seeing what was going on. I saw he was there. I've got people coming in this weekend, and she said, no, sir. You told us the unit was accessible and the unit was not accessible. I'm like, no, I asked the other girl what that meant, and she said she had no idea. So I said, yeah, for all I know, you meant, is the house accessible?
That's what I thought she meant.
No, she meant, did I take the top stackable dryer and take it down? And I said, well, don't you guys do that? No, sir, we don't allow our employees to do that. And I'm like,
my gosh.
You are a dryer repair company. This is all you do. A lot of GEs or stacks.
Sure.
You would think in your initial phone call with me, in your intake, you would have asked, is it stackable? If it is, you need to get somebody to take it down. We don't do that. So that's I think that's like the insurance lesson.
Our workers' comp won't allow us people to hurt themselves because somebody will say, "Oh, I hurt my back taking that."
Yeah, so we get into
you'll say he broke your dryer taking it down.
We get into a shouting match on the phone.
Oh no,
me and this girl. Yeah, we do. Because I'd lost it. It'd been 4 weeks, and the amount of money they've cost me because I haven't been able to rent it. Damn. The amount of money I was like, look, you've cost me at least $10,000.
How much would it cost if you just went and bought another one? And
like $1,000. Like that's what I told her. I said, do you understand the amount of money you've cost me in rentals? I could have went out and bought a brand new dryer. Damn. And so all my employees were in there like looking like, what in the world who's he yelling at in there? So we get into what Scott would call an ass tangling.
Yep.
But there's a lesson in there that yeah, that is a stupid rule that they won't let their employees do that. I get it. And it's probably because of insurance, but that's a stupid rule. So communicate that to your customers. And I think it goes the same way with insurance. Like, insurance companies do stupid stuff.
100%.
If 99% of our problems in the insurance industry are solved by communication. You know, I wrote it. Shockingly.
Communication, and somebody and an old adjuster told me one time. He said, "You know what the easiest way to solve a problem claim is?" And I said, "What's that?" And he said, "Write a check."
Well, and it's over communicate. I think too many of us are so happy to make a sale. We're jumping for joy. We don't want to do anything to disrupt that sale happening, right?
Right.
But I think one thing that I like doing, and I have been selling a few more policies here lately just because I want to.
Yeah.
But so I wrote a.
Wait, you mean you?
Me, yes. So I wrote a commercial building.
You're not quoting it though, right?
No,
you just hand it to somebody and say, "Hey, give it back to me," and I'll call them back.
So, and it's more for me. It's more like, you know, I'm very hands off on the insurance side, but if I want to look for problems,
if
you know what I mean.
If you know it's going to get screwed up if anybody else does it.
No, but so let me tell you the story. So I met with a friend of mine who owns a chiropractor office, and we wrote his building, and he had the building insured with State Farm forever. Okay, State Farm no longer will do wind. They'll keep it if it's grandfathered in, but if he were to leave and try to come back, they wouldn't write it again. Right, one of those situations. So I'm putting it with an admitted carrier, and I tell him, I was like, all right, here's where things really go wrong for you. We write this policy, you cancel your State Farm policy. The carrier I'm writing you with comes out and does an inspection. They find 15 things wrong, and you can't go back to State Farm.
Correct.
And your only other option is E&S, and it's $10,000 more. He's like, yep, I still want to do it. But I think telling your customers, hey, here's the worst case scenario. Here's what can go wrong. Like, hey, Progressive or ASI or Travelers, they're going to send an inspector out to your house to do a post-bind inspection. By the way, these companies, Travelers or whoever uses a third-party inspection company. Travelers is probably paying them $150. They're paying that guy that's coming out to your house $9 to go do that. He's gonna be an a-hole.
Right.
Like, he's gonna seem like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's gonna pull in a car that the windows don't roll all the way up on. Just be prepared for that. Like, I think it's important to over communicate the issues, the possible issues to your customers before they happen, and put the ball in their court. And so I think that's my dryer situation is a good lesson in, and I was actually thinking about that the whole time. I was like, hey, where are we doing these things in our agency that like these people did to us? You know what I mean?
Stop right there.
Sorry for the tangent.
This is the perfect segue into a voicemail that I'm about to play for Bradley. And the question to Bradley is, and I'm about to give him some context, not much context, but just a minute worth of context.
Just a thimbleful.
The question for Bradley is, you're Scott, and you're the agency owner for iProtect Insurance. What would your next move be after you receive this phone call? Okay. Now, let me give you just a thimble full of context. Friday, I'm sitting at my desk, and I think I might have been on a Zoom call with somebody, like a carrier rep, or I think I had a demo with that technology vendor that we've talked a little bit about, talking about this week on the podcast. And I look down at my phone because my phone starts ringing, put it on silent, goes to my voicemail. Here is the voicemail that I got, and I want you to listen to it, and then I want you to tell our audience what you would do. And I don't even care about editing this lady's name out because it really doesn't matter. But let me let you listen to this. Hold on.
Hey, ma'am, if you're going to sue us because he doesn't edit your name out, sue him, not me, please.
I called called your office maybe 2 weeks ago already. Told them I had a chip in my windshield and I need to have it fixed. A gentleman at your office said, "Oh, I'll have somebody call you. We'll get right on that." I haven't heard from anybody. I'd like to get it fixed before the windshield cracks. Apparently, you deal with somebody locally. Well, I don't know people around here, so I would like the referral. Could you please call me and give me the referral to get my glass repaired on my van? So,
Edit that phone number out, Johnny.
Yeah,
And
edit the
Rand.
phone number out.
So you're asking me how I would react to that voicemail.
What would Bradley's now remember, guys, I'm talking to a man that just cussed out a service rep customer service rep for a appliance company over here because and by the way, understandably so, I would have probably
I didn't cuss her out. There were no cuss words.
But what would you do? Now I don't know if you caught the very beginning of that, but she said, I called 2 weeks ago. I talked to somebody who said, we'll jump right on that. It had to be one of my employees.
Mm-hmm.
And then she never hears back from anybody.
What carrier was she with?
Don't know. Hadn't looked.
So
I sent that. I'll tell you what I did this morning. So I didn't listen to that voicemail on Friday. I forgot it was there. And so I found it Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
I called her and I texted her, did not get a response.
Yeah. So,
and then this morning I sent that to info@iProtect Insurance to my VA and said, find out send this out to whoever the agent and the account manager is on this account and tell them I want them to get on this ASAP this morning.
So that's similar to what I would get her handled. Hey, I'm so sorry. I don't know what went wrong. Let's get you situated first.
Yeah.
And then I will dig into what went wrong here because that's not how we do business. And then I would go into the notes in the file and look at and see, okay, where was the ball dropped? I do not love the, hey, we'll have somebody call you. You know what I mean? And I'm guessing she is with a carrier that you file a windshield chip claim via online. And so this person was just thinking they would fill out the thing online and then somebody would call her. What I'd do in those scenarios is we keep the customer on the line because that's the only thing to guarantee that you do it. Because probably what happened is whoever was going to do that for her just dropped the ball and forgot.
Right.
You know, either that or the carrier's just totally dropping the ball. To prevent the carrier from dropping the ball, what we do is, and I think you have one of these too, we have a claims pipeline in Agency Zoom. Every claim that we file goes in there. Now, if somebody calls the carrier direct, we don't put those in there. But we have a column in that pipeline that's waiting on carrier. If it sits in that pipeline for more than a few days, she starts getting text messages. Hey, have you heard from your adjuster? Have you heard from somebody, et cetera? So there's some, I would actually like to solve this problem. There's some deciphering that you can do to try and figure out, okay, tracing it back. You know, it's like finding a short in an electrical line. You know what I mean?
So I think
that is something we've had those calls too before. Like it happens.
Welcome to the world of insurance, guys. And for those of you out there that don't get those kind of calls because your agency is perfect, I'm sorry you had to sit through that. You also probably have about $500,000 in premium in your agency, but I digress. I think the first thing I need to do before I do any of that is go back into the HawkSoft client file and look at logs and attachments to see, to not jump to conclusions. Because what if
for sure
one of my people did file this, like you said, with the carrier,
and the carrier dropped the ball,
and then they kind of wiped that thought. Well, this is taken care of, and then they don't hear. And then but there's a short there too, because that person should have gotten back with her
for sure
and said, "Hey, here's what I did, and if you have any problems, let me know."
I'll tell you one. I'll tell you one we had. So Cole here just had his second kid. He was out on paternity leave, and some of his emails were forwarded to me while he was out. And I got an email from a lady, and she said, "Hey, I was wondering on this. I was following up on the status of my refund. We canceled our insurance with you.
Oh, we get
we haven't gotten our
one
refund.
of those calls about a
And those refunds take a while, and so
15 to 20 business days.
What I've been doing here lately, our service team, and we can talk about this in a later episode. Our service team is a little bit overworked right now. So if I get like simple service emails like that, I'll just go ahead and handle it rather than delegate it out. Especially if it's a slow day for me. And so I look into it. I go into Now Certs. I look in and I see where one of our team members had moved it to. We have a cancellation pipeline in Agency Zoom. Had moved it to canceled. All the notes are in there. Whatever. I go to Progressive. Has not been canceled.
Happened to us a lot lately.
And so that's just one example of, and I reach out to the customer. Hey, I'm so sorry. This is what happened. We're going to get this handled. And then we proceeded to, circle back with the person who, hey, look, you don't do this. By the way, this was also like the last day that we could backdate it to that original date.
Sure. We've had this happen like 3 times in the past 6 months.
Yeah. And you want to talk about never getting a customer again, screw up their cancellation.
Well, and listen, this has been adding vehicles and taking off vehicles and stuff. And I hate to say this, but maybe they need to step their game up a little bit. All 3 were with Progressive, where we've got the recorded call or the email or the, on our side, we're covered. But it's like this vehicle never got added to the policy. Or sold the vehicle and we called or we sent a service request to Progressive. Here's the email on this date. Please take this vehicle off.
Oh, and the carrier doesn't do it.
And Progressive never takes it off or puts it on. And 6 months later, they're like, why am I still paying for a 2015 Toyota 4Runner when I called you guys and I told you to take that off on May the 4th of 2025, and we go back and look, and we've done everything on our part. We get in touch with Progressive, and they go, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened, but we just screwed that up. We'll fix it.
I'll tell you, man, transitioning a little bit, but this is still in that ballpark, and I think maybe part of the problem. I think automated communication is becoming a net negative on the insurance industry because a lot of
talking about from the carrier side,
the carrier and the agent. Because what you got is you've got the agency. If they're a good agency, they're automating some communication to their customers and internally, and then you've got the carriers have now figured out automation. And they're automating a ton of stuff,
right?
And they're automating stuff internally,
especially
honestly,
simple stuff like that.
I think people are receiving on the client side, the agency side, and the carrier side. People are receiving 8 times the number of emails that they used to receive, and I think that's causing people on all 3 of those sides to drop balls. It's like the whole, if you're anxious about public speaking, the more you public speak, the less you're going to be anxious. It's like back in the day, you got an email from your insurance company. You knew it was important, but now you're getting so many emails, none of them seem important.
It's just wide out. It's just
having
white
the
space.
opposite effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like we've seen, like my team complains all the time about the number of emails that they get. And I think that's happening on the carrier side and causing people to drop some balls. And, I was talking to a carrier CEO last week, the same one I referenced on the podcast with Adam last week. And I was like, here's the thing. Like, I understand that you guys need to automate certain communications to the customers because you've got a lot of bad agencies out there that don't handle stuff. But you need to give the agency the opportunity to opt out of that. Because if you're a good agency, like, and hey, by the way, make us prove to you that we're going to tell the customer these things, right? And give us the opportunity to opt out of it. And then the ones that want it can have it, because now it's like, it's making me want to scale back my automation because the customers are getting bombarded.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And yeah. So we had a bunch of automations back in I guess it was about this time last year. I told Avery, who does our marketing and our automations for our agency, I said, I want you to come in here. I want you to bring your laptop. I want you to sit down, and you and I are going to go through every single automation for late pay, cancellations, all that, and I want to go through it and make sure it's right.
Yeah.
She comes in there, y'all, and we start going through like late pay. We were sending out like 8 communications over a 10-day period. I said, Avery, what in the hell are we doing? Do you think there's any sumbitch in the world that wants us to communicate with them 8 times over a 10-day period that their policies, late or whatever? I'm like, no, this cannot happen. This cannot happen. And so same thing with like, what else? There was like 2 or 3 of them. We did the same thing with new business audits or new business automations. We go start looking through those. I'm like, are you telling me we're sending out 6 emails and 4 text messages within a 10-day period of somebody buying their insurance from us? Ain't nobody wanting to see that shit.
Yeah, so originally we had a good amount of text messages, and as the years have gone on, we've tightened it up and removed some and gotten it to where, okay, that this one isn't necessary or whatever. And yeah, I agree. And
it sounds like I need to do more of that.
I think anybody who says, oh yeah, we touch our customers, 50 times in a year is either totally like so far removed from the client experience, they have no idea, or they have a really small agency. And the thing is, it's like you can get away with a lot more stuff when you're a real small agency. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You can get away with winging stuff. You can get away. There's a lot of stuff that you can get away with. And I'll tell you, too, on that note, I'll tell you, you want to know our biggest struggle right now? You want to know my biggest struggle?
Tell me.
So I consider myself to be really good at recruiting. Okay. This is separate from that, but it's still in that ballpark. Here's our struggle. Okay. So we pretty much, we will hire people remote. But typically we prefer to hire somebody that can come in the office. And our struggle right now is, so in Mobile, the majority of the independent agencies in Mobile are probably 8 million in premium and less. A lot of them are less, right? And then you've got Hub, Willis,
the biggins,
Higginbotham. You've got the big boys, and then we are right smack dab in the middle. Okay. And what we figured out over the last year is if we hire from one of these smaller folks, it's almost like hiring somebody that's brand new.
Yep.
Because they're not used to our volume, number one. And number two, the $4 million agencies, like I said earlier, you can get away with a lot more stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've hired some people from small agencies that have done a great job.
They can't move at the rate of speed because they're playing high school baseball. They're not used to playing college baseball.
Also, the smaller agencies don't have a lot of the processes and the CYAs that we do because, hey, you can get away with a lot more stuff.
Right.
And the reason you can is because when you're really small, you can make a mistake on a policy. Oh, yeah, I made a mistake on that. Let me fix that. Well, but when you're doing 10 times that volume, you're not going to catch it.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And so, and we have some people here that are working here now that have came from smaller agencies who've done a great job. I'm mostly speaking to the people that we hired that aren't here anymore, or I am speaking to those people. But then you go to the big boys, and then you're having to like open up the pocketbook to a level that you don't want to.
Right.
And the big boys also play hardball. You hire one of theirs, they're going to hire 2 of yours. And so we're in this weird spot recruiting where we're either reaching down or reaching up.
Yeah.
There's nobody here that I know of that is like our size that does our volume. And so that's our biggest struggle. And just talking about the some of the ease of being a smaller agency, like that kind of gave me that idea to talk about that. But that's where we're really struggling at is, and so it's kind of like gotten us to thinking, okay, let's just hire somebody brand new, or let's hire somebody from like a State Farm or Farmers, and let's train them from the ground up.
So let me ask you this question, Bradley. Have you had anybody, obviously not naming any names, that's pulled what I call the SEC football coach move, where they're working for one of the big uns, the Hubs, the Marshes, and they use an offer from Bradley, and they're really good at what they do. And so the Hubs or Marshes or whoever, Higginbotham's go, oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what, just stay here and we'll pay you whatever they're offering you.
So I had one a few weeks ago that I think did that.
By the way, Jimmy Sexton is the king of this and with the SEC head football coaches.
Yeah. I had someone that I think did that. And some of the big agencies, they don't really care. Like there was a big agency here in town that lost like 4 account managers a few years ago, and then they hired them all back a year later. My attitude would be, if you're coming to me dangling this job offer to try to get more money, I'd be like, well, don't let me get in your way. I'm not going to play that game, right? But the big agencies don't really care about, oh, yeah, we'll match that offer, So it's very transactional when you work there. You know what I mean? So we had somebody that we were reaching up, and this person actually reached out to us. And by the way, if you're listening to this person, that's no hard feelings, I'd hire you again tomorrow, or I'd hire you tomorrow. But, I tell our team this, I tell new hires this, I want people who want to be here. I don't want somebody looking for a job.
Right.
I don't want somebody looking for more money. There's at least 5 agencies, and I tell our current people this, there's at least 5 agencies in town that'll pay you more. Now, you're probably going to be miserable, and there's not going to be as good of an opportunity. I want people that want to be at Portal because they see the opportunity, okay? And I always ask new hires, hey, tell me what you're making now. Whether it's true or not, it gives me some kind of barometer of where they want to be. Because, I interviewed somebody last year that, I'm making 120 now. I'm like, well, we don't even need to talk. Like, I'm not going to waste your time. I can't get anywhere close to that, right? So, person came in, interviewed great, and told me what they were making now. It was more than I wanted to pay, but within reason. Why'd you this person reached out to us? Why'd you reach out to us? I just see that you guys are growing. I see that you're young and you're doing new, cool things. Like, I want to get in on the ground floor. I like the opportunity. Okay. Said that in all 3 interviews. Okay. That, whatever. And so I made an offer that was maybe like $5,000 more than they told me they were making now.
Right.
Turned it down. Not enough money. And I'm like, oh, you just wanted more money. You didn't want opportunity.
Yeah.
Because if you truly want the opportunity, you would make a lateral move for the same salary.
Sure.
And now I don't think that's fair. And so that's why I try to give people a little bump, because changing a job's not easy. And I'm like, I wish you would have just told me that from the get-go. We still could have worked something out, but I think that was one of those situations. And I did have that happen 3 years ago with somebody coming from a smaller agency. And we were actually more pissed about that one because we really worked really hard to find a plan that made it work for this person, and and just went through the the whole interview process in depth. It was a 3-week process. Oh no, I just I wanted more money. Or my current boss gave me more money. I'm like, well, you didn't really want to be here then, and that's what I'm looking for. Is like, and if you. I hope you're okay with me saying this. If you're listening to this and you're an account manager, whether you're in Mobile or not, and you want to be here, reach out to me, because that's what we want.
So I'm 53 years old, Generation X, and the older I get, the harder time I have. And I understand. I've heard you talk about it. I've heard Ryan Hanley talk about it. And y'all are like, don't care where you are. You can work from home if you're the right fit, man, the harder time I have with that. I just, if I go hire Rand, and Rand, you're in Colorado, okay? You live in Boulder, Colorado, but you're an experienced account manager, okay? I have to look myself in the mirror and know I'm only going to be getting about 70% of Rand if I'm lucky, because Rand's going to find every other way in the world to do laundry at the house, go pick kids up from school, watch Kelly and Mark on the television at 9 in the morning, do a little work, couple hours in the morning.
Rand loves Kelly and Mark.
Hey, couple hours in the morning, gonna do a little work, gonna watch a little television, gonna eat lunch. Got a load of laundry we got to do about 12:31. Finish that up, put it up. Gonna work a little bit in the afternoon, 2 to 4 probably. No, got to pick the kids up at school at 2:45. So we got to be in car line by 2:15. But then we're gonna come back, maybe work through maybe an hour or two in the afternoon. I got to be okay with that, and it's just damn hard for me to get okay with that.
I don't think you can be. I think it hurts you to be staunchly against remote work in this day and age because you limit your talent pool, especially if you live in an area like where me and you live. But at the same, and that's my attitude. Like, I mean, we've got 4 or 5 remote employees now. I'm okay with it. But I prefer somebody in office, and the reason I prefer somebody in office is because, and I told this to a candidate last week, a guy that we actually sent an offer to this morning. I was like, look, this guy's like 22, really wants to learn the business, has been in the business a little bit, and I said, look, here's the thing, if we've got a big commercial client coming in that's talking about a $1 million policy, right? I may grab you and say, hey, come sit in on this meeting. This is the best learning environment you can get.
Absolutely.
I can't do that if you're remote. You know what I mean? And so there's a distinct advantage to working remote. I mean, to working in office. And we've 2 of our remote employees live just far enough away that they can't come here every day, but they come here a couple times a week and work here. Our guy that lives in Atlanta, Holden, we try to bring him down here once a quarter and that sort of thing. But he's a producer. I think it's different with producers and account managers, But I don't think you can be in 2025 staunchly. I think you need to be open to it. But it sounds like you're open to it. It just has to be the right person.
Has to be the right person, and it's probably going to be a situation where we take a flyer on you, and if we see that it's not a good fit, once we get going, it's probably going to be a 3-month relationship that's going to end with, hey, this just isn't working.
Yeah.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah, correct. And that's, we let somebody go a couple weeks ago. Actually, the person that made that cancellation mistake, that was one of many mistakes. And I was like, look, I think you're a great person. I think you're doing an okay job, but I've been doing this long enough to know that 2 years is going to go by and neither one of us are going to be happy. And I think it's best to go find something else.
Yeah.
It's not a good fit here.
Did they stay in the industry, or do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but don't really care. But yeah, and I think that's one big thing too, that the majority of our industry that I've met and talked to is very averse to firing when they know it's not a good fit. And what happens is, whether you consciously know that or whether you subconsciously know that, it puts a ton of pressure on you to make the right decision in the hiring process.
Right.
If you put all this I've got to get it right, because I know consciously or subconsciously I can't let this person go in 2 months, and you put all this pressure on yourself to get it. Whereas if you know that, hey, if we do this a couple months and I can just, even if they don't do anything, I just have a feeling that it's not a good fit, it opens your hiring up where you're willing to take flyers on people, and you don't really have that pressure. It's like, all right, we'll give this person a shot, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And you don't have that.
It's the spin on the Mike Strom. So he always said, hire slow, fire fast. You've changed that to say, hire fast, fire fast.
Yeah.
Because and I've said this on the podcast before, for all you younger agents listening to this, don't look at it as, man, I'm hiring this account manager for $90,000. Well, if that sumbitch wants to do laundry and pick her damn kids up and not work, you may only pay her $8,000 before you decide it's not going to work.
Correct. So
it's a $8,000 to $10,000 mistake instead of a $90,000. Now, if you're one of those agents that's too chicken shit to fire anybody, and you let them stay on for 3 or 4 years, well, now that's you're right. That's costing you a lot of money, right?
Correct.
I got to change gears before we go real quick. So here's what I'm seeing in North Alabama, and I think North Alabama is a snapshot of now. North Alabama to me is a snapshot of the center of the United States. If you drew a circle around the center of the U.S., the Midwest, a lot of our rates seem to be similar. You know, Tennessee, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Missouri, that, you know, middle Ohio. We are now in a soft market. Our daily download report that Avery does for us every morning at 8 a.m. comes out. I would say 95% of accounts are 0% increase.
Mm-hmm.
Uprate rule is not triggering on more than 1 or 2 policies a day. And most of those probably have had a claim during the last cycle. You know what I mean? Are you seeing that down here now on property, commercial property, especially habitational? It is a race to the bottom right now. A lot of capacity coming out of Lloyd's. Lot of capacity. It's a race to the bottom. Everybody's seeing on these big mid-market habitational accounts that were X last year, now taking 20, 30, 40,
We've seen
20,
a lot of that.
Yeah, lower price.
You're kind of having to play more defense on your bigger accounts.
Correct, because everybody's kind of jumping back. Well, a lot of people are jumping back in it. A lot of
I'll tell you what we saw last week. So we have a hardware store, a chain of hardware stores we insure, and one of our larger accounts from a property standpoint, and their renewal went down $3,000, which is basically flat because it's a pretty big account, and we specifically sent out quotes to block markets to some other MGAs, and one of them came back like $10,000 less, and we were like kind of like, whoa, you know,
right.
And so it was kind of cool because we presented the renewal quote to the customer, and we told him, we said, hey, we have some more submissions out there, and then we were able to come back at him and say, hey, we got this cheaper, which bought us a lot of credibility with him,
right?
You know what I mean?
So are you seeing on the personal lines, non-admitted stuff down here on the coast, a lot of your stuff's that way? Is it zeroing out at renewals, or are y'all still taking?
A lot of flat, a lot of decreases. You know, one of our bigger admitted coastal carriers took a significant decreat this year.
Should help your retention though.
Should.
But it's going to lower your revenue.
It won't, because this specific carrier has tiers, and they will pay up to 18% on renewals. We are currently at 12, but in November we go to 18. So we will actually, even though everybody's rates are going to go down next year, we'll actually get a pay bump.
That's good. That's good. All right, we got to go.
Yep.
Time to roll. Guys, hope you've enjoyed this episode of Bradley and Scott Talk Insurance. This is the only time Bradley and I ever get to sit down and really talk insurance, because we just, during the week, we're both so busy we don't get to talk very often. But I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this. As I end every episode, rewards come from action, not discussion. Get out from behind that desk today. Stop shuffling paperwork around on your desk and doing TPS reports. Go out into the big bad world. Make money for your wife, for your husband, for your kids' college fund, and for your parents and your in-laws like mine that are struggling out there. Go make money for them. Write good business for the agencies that you represent, and write good business for the carriers that you represent. Bradley Flowers, I love you.
Love you too.
Guys, you are listening to the Insurance Guys podcast, and we love each one of you. Thank you so much for being a part of our family, and we'll see you back next week. Take care.